Welcome everyone to wow, good job. I'll do that one more time. Jesus Christ.
Great start.
Good job.
Start.
Welcome everyone to Callouts Ep.4. I'm joined here by Catalyst. You might know him already because he's a much bigger YouTuber than I am. But he's also a very skilled competitive player for Venom Esports. And he's joining us here today on Callouts. He's a special guest, if you'd like to call it that. I mean, it's interesting, Kat, because we've done this already, and because
we've rambled for a full hour. And it's funny because I always have my voice share on. Just it's something like I know to have on as a content creator, and for whatever reason, it just decided not to record the entire hour that we talked. It was good. It was a good conversation.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're gonna be sitting here, and I'm gonna be saying the same stuff that I said over and over again. You're gonna be like, "Wow, that's so interesting."
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah. You didn't tell me before. I can't believe this. You've got to shake it up. You've got to give me some more shit.
I'll try.
Yeah. No, but no.
I'll try. We'll see. Well, that's a good thing about just off the cuff conversations is you have no idea where it's gonna go.
No, exactly. Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and
yeah, of course.
No, like you said, we've covered everything. I'll take responsibility for that. I fucked up. Anyway, moving on. We're just gonna hop right in. So obviously you're the guest this episode, and just let me know about yourself. Where you came from. Your sort of rise, I guess, from like a pub player to a top competitive player. Like how does that resound for you?
It's a super interesting journey because I feel like there's very few people that can fully make that journey from being, a public player and, worrying about stats and, focusing on everything that's having to do with the public lobby and, thinking you're hot shit. And then, realizing that you're not hot shit once you find certain competition and then having to deal with that and then, work your way up to legitimately being what you thought you were, but actually, you're actually there. So, I mean, I was on a public platoon called Wham back in Battlefield 1, probably about the second year into Battlefield 1's life cycle.
Okay.
And it's actually super embarrassing because on my sniping tutorial video that I made, it was the first video of mine that really blew up, like 47,000 views. It became a massive video. I said, and just hold your breath here, I said, I'm one of the best players in the world. I can change the game like at the snap of my finger, and that's verbatim. Obviously, it was like not very good. And that's kind of like a humbling thing that kind of keeps my ego in check, to be honest with you, because it's like in my biggest video, or one of my biggest videos on my channel, I made a complete asshole of myself. And obviously everything that I thought that I knew back then turned out to not be true. And, I started facing, more competition, and I realized that I wasn't really anything at all.
Okay.
So Wham started out in Tier 1, which is, I don't even know if they're still there, but we'll get into that potentially. Maybe or not. There's a long story attached with that, and we only have about an hour, so we'll pick and choose here. But yeah, so Wham started getting really, bored with public lobbies. I mean, you're stacking 8 people, pub stomping, pub stacking, everything, being a pub star, stacking 8 people in operations servers and just rolling over everybody. It gets pretty boring. So we decided to branch out and do some competitive, and we started facing a couple of teams like Murder Mafia, who aren't around anymore, maybe bits and pieces, but NAC, also known as FTK, also known as basically Team Canada. We played them, and we actually beat them the first time around. So it's not like, our thoughts of, oh, wow, we're really good, were completely false. I mean, we had skill, we just no idea what we're doing, and it was very, very shallow, like very, very shallow-minded of us. And then we faced, at the time, 6-star generals, and I say at the time because the team that they had then is completely different from the team they have now. Like the 6-star generals back in 2017, 2018, they had some of the comp players that are at the top of the comp scene now. Like Edison, Awesome We Were, Red Lab, or Muhammad Karobi. Like the players that are alongside you and I at the top of the competitive scene, I met a long time ago, and it's weird that we've kind of just climbed together. So it's not like that team was scrubby at all. But the point is that I got my butt handed to me, and it was kind of just like, okay, that was fun, but I didn't necessarily like getting my ass kicked. How can I improve? How can I become better? And we started, playing more teams, branching out, meeting new people. I met players like Sharpie, Nightmare, Blitzkrieg, and a lot of other established people in the community, and they kind of took me under, and I started playing with them more often. We became really good friends, just played more and practiced more, and I guess just my ideology on everything changed, and I slowly just transformed into the player that I am today. And I know that maybe it's not the best explanation. Obviously, we can't go back and do the completely natural telling of that story that we did the hour beforehand, which kind of sucks. But hopefully that all makes sense.
So your sort of evolution from like declaring yourself as one of the best players in the world, sort of thing, to now, like, what do you think's changed? Like aside from the maybe the ego thing, because I don't feel like you've got an ego from playing with you.
Well, I mean,
for example, now
you and I can both agree on this. You don't play at this level and not have an ego.
Yeah.
You that's literally impossible. You can't go into a comp match thinking that you're like not the best thing since sliced bread. And that's actually one of the things that I think I struggle with is if I had to pick out a weakness in myself, it's my confidence. Sometimes I can feel like an absolute dud. And sure, everybody has good and bad games, but like I if there's like a streaky player, like in, let's say, American baseball, like it's all about streaks, like who's hot, hitting the baseball, who's not.
Yeah.
I can go through periods of just not hitting the ball like well at all.
Yeah.
And struggling, but other times like I feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
And granted that goes with everybody, but it's not really a performance thing with me. It's a mental thing. Like I won't play like myself because I'm just not confident.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's one of the biggest things, but just going from where I was to where I am now, I think it's just an overall understanding of what this game is. It went from a very personal, very selfish kind of viewpoint on the game. It's all about me. I'm the best.
Mm-hmm.
I am unstoppable. To playing with a competitive team, it's like I and the team work together to be the best.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably one of the bigger changes that you'll see among just not being a self-entitled asshole.
No, totally. I mean, exactly that sort of change is what makes a good gun skilled player who's smart and stuff into an actual a team piece that can win stuff together. But sorry,
I think that people just don't get that, and I say like I'm one of the few people that, at least from what I've seen, have been able to make that change. There are others, obviously. I think the team at 300 is another example because they used to be in the same position that I was, and then they won ESB preseason, season 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that, as a pub player, and a lot of the, I guess I'm going to use the word randier teams, but the lower level teams, that are pub stompers, and they think that they're hot shit, and then they go in and they play in the competitive match, and they think that competitive is going to be, we're all just going to run around on the point, and we're going to run around like chickens with our heads cut off, and we're going to frag each other, and it's going to be a chaotic, like, free-for-all. It's like, no, it's not that at all. It's not that at all. People that can't handle that change, they can't handle being killed off a head glitch or somebody that just flat out outplays you. Like not everybody can handle getting, pardon my French, but shit on like that. Not everybody can mentally handle, and then it becomes excuses like, they're cheating, they're camping, they're using mouse and keyboard, using cronus. And some people at this level legitimately are, and it doesn't take a crystal ball to kind of point out who those players are. I think everybody knows who those players are, but when you're talking about climbing the ranks up to where you and I are now, everything below it, there's a lot of excuse making. I think when there's pub players that are trying to get into the competitive side of things. And that's where I see a lot of teams and players fail, is they just can't get over that selfish ideology of, okay, how am I going to look? How is my KD going to look in comparison to everybody else? Am I going to top the scoreboard? Or, am I going to dominate? Am I going to make a name for myself? Am I going to live up to the expectations that I have for myself? Or is my team going to win games? And people prioritize the self over the team, and that's why that's why most people don't make it past that point.
100%. Like I think every player gets shit on, like at least like once a week, something like that, maybe once every 2 weeks. Because it just happens. Like when you're playing against good players, like you can't always win every gunfight you're supposed to, and like you have to be prepared to be embarrassed and then to come back from that and just to keep going and just to not lose your mind and stuff. But like I'm going back to the confidence thing for 1 second. What do you think sparks that or fixes it when you're in a drought sort of thing? What makes you go from I'm confident in myself, I'm performing well, to, oh, maybe this isn't going so well right now? Like, what causes that? Do you think, if it's a mental thing?
I think definitely one of the major factors is how I feel about the game at the given time. Because if I'm not a fan of the game, which granted I don't think many people have been a fan of the game for a long time, I will let my lack of enjoyment for the game like seep into scrims, and it's just like, oh shit, I don't like, I want to play this and I want to be a good teammate and I want to work with my teammates because they're really good friends of mine. It's like, okay, let's be the best that we can be. But on the one hand, while you're saying that, it's also like, God, this game is fucking trash. Like, it's like, dude, I don't want to spend, an hour and a half here, 2 hours playing a game that's not supported by the development community, or not by the development company. It's not really supported by the community. It's very divisive. It's like I'm spending an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes sitting here where I could be going to the movies with friends instead.
Yeah.
And like some of that is the obligation that you have when you love something like competitive, like as much as I loved it and have loved it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, man, I don't want to be here, and that psyche I think gets to me a little bit. But other than that, like, it's just sometimes as much as I want to say, oh, I made it, like from being a Randy to where I am now, like there's still parts of me that play like a dumbass, and it like gets into me. It's like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I picking that? I know he's going to be there. It's something that's like, well, maybe, and it's a whole like anxiety snowball depression train that's just okay, well, shit, maybe, and another thing is that, coming from nothing and then being placed on the winning this team in Battlefield, like, you kind of feel like there's expectations to uphold there.
Totally, yeah.
So,
100%.
and it's something that, as we talked about in the hour before, we could talk about it a little bit here, is like not jumping straight from Defy or from Wham to a team like 1UP right away, which I had the opportunity to do.
Oh yeah.
Like, like I'm playing with players that I looked up to. Like, I'm playing Berg, Phantom, Jukes, like absolute gods. Like, now I'm their teammate, so it's kind of like I feel to a certain extent that I have a certain standard to uphold.
Yeah.
And it makes me a bit of a perfectionist, and when I'm not a perfectionist, it starts getting to me psychologically, and then I just get into a slump. If that makes sense.
Oh no, totally, yeah. Like, I think a lot of the pressure clearly is coming from like yourself rather than no one's telling you, oh, Cath,
oh yeah, no, I don't really care what anybody else thinks of me, but it's and I think that's also like one of the good things about being a content creator on YouTube is that you're putting yourself out there. You can't care about what other people think of you, and that's fine. It's more about how I think of myself and my personal goals and how I want to be, like, remember myself and remember these times, like playing scrims with people from all around the world, which not many people can really say at that point. Like, it's like, hey, I got to play like a really highly competitive, I'm not going to say high profile because DICE doesn't give a shit about competitive, but it's like I get to play with people from all around the world. Like, how fucking cool is that?
Yeah. 100%. So you mentioned Defy at one point. Do you want to talk about, like you said, how you didn't take the initial 1UP offer that you were given?
So coming out of, at the very end of Battlefield 1, Wham and Defy started coming back together, or like they weren't together at one point, but I had met Zoe, who was a member of Defy at that point, and he was like the bridge for me and a couple of other Wham guys like Tito to go and play for that team. And Defy was a T5 team primarily that used to be like really, 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 really good.
Yep.
And they had left Battlefield 1 for a while, and they were going to come back, and they were recruiting. And so, that was the gateway for me to get on that team, was through Zoe. And once Battlefield 5 started and we started playing together, I met Contro, and Contro, who's now on Venom, used to be the leader of 1UP.
Contro!
And, and I was talking, shout out to Contro, he's a G. So I met Contro, and, we became decent friends, and, he straight up told me, he's like, dude, and he said, you have the sauce, in quotation marks. I'm like, oh, I never knew. I was like,
no.
And of course, like I told you about the whole confidence thing, it's like, do I really have the sauce? I mean, I don't feel like I have anything yet.
Yeah.
But, so I met Concho, and he's like, why don't you come and try out for 1UP? And I turned him down, and I said, I don't think I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I said, I haven't done anything yet to warrant that opportunity.
Okay.
As much as I'm flattered by it. So I didn't want to, join Defy and build the relationships with Defy just to leave at the beginning of Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I'm never going to be a team hopper. I think Venom's probably going to be my last team, whether I get kicked, whether I leave, whether I stop playing,
Yeah.
or whether I play forever. You know, so I had to turn Concho down. But and this is before I met Zach or Adamant.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how different things might have shaped out if I decided to take that offer and be with One Up. And
Yeah,
just
that's crazy.
For the underlying context, I don't like Zach. Zach doesn't like me. Yeah, I don't think that would have ended very well.
No. So it's a good choice.
So I mean,
probably.
yeah, I think it ended up being a good choice because Defy was an interesting experience the entire way through. Like we were definitely underdogs, and people didn't think that we were very good at all. But we had a lot of good players, and we were really good for a long time. And it just kind of all fell apart for a lot of different reasons.
Do you want to go into that in a bit more detail about the Defy stuff?
Well, what specifically? Like just how the team was, and then how it fell apart.
Yeah.
So like the main thing that I think plagued Defy and why everything fell apart. First of all, I think we were too good too early.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah. We like I said, we weren't really supposed to be good, but the first few scrims that we played One Up and we played Too Easy, and we didn't. I don't think we beat One Up. I think we came very, very close, but we beat Too Easy RZ mix. And it's like, wow, like we can actually compete with these guys.
Yeah.
Now, that was when strats weren't really a thing in TA Conquest, and granted, Squad Conquest doesn't have the most insane strats ever. It's literally, you take one squad here, you hold this, you take one squad here, and you hold this, and then it was just a matter of learning, like, where the head glitches, like, which head glitches you needed to hold at what times, and, like, what happens if they push water side on Rotterdam instead of street side Rotterdam. So, there was a whole lot of, like, logistical things that weren't there yet, but I think overall, like, we peaked very early, and because I think Defy was a team that had a lot of gun skill, but we didn't have a lot of brains in that aspect. It's like I guess, like, the analogy is that, like, if you're talking about, like, a Black Friday sale, and Defy is going shopping on Black Friday, they got a whole bunch of great deals. Like, so let's say you're going clothes shopping, like, they went out and they got a whole bunch of, like, cheap deals on really, really nice clothes, but not every piece of clothing fit.
Okay.
So, like, the chemistry was there at times, but, like, not all the players fit very well together, and we started falling behind at some point. I think a big changing point was this tanker that came back to Defy. His name was Swedish Bamf. Okay. And he was like old Defy. He was the old guard, very OG. And at that time, Defy was basically an entire like new team from what it used to be, at least for him. And he came back and he was instantly like who are all these new guys? Like, they don't know how Defy plays. Like, they don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, meanwhile, we're kind of winning scrims and we're beating the teams that we're not supposed to be doing, so shut the fuck up. And so I actually remember a scrim that we were in, and it was Eris. And I know that you're going to appreciate this, and I know that you're going to understand this. Maybe somebody in the audience or watching is going to understand this, but we had German side Eris. And we pushed 6 to B, 2 to A, and it was 5 to B, 2 to A, and then the tank. Normally, the tank from that side does not push the B flag.
No.
And he took the tank straight onto the B flag, straight onto it. Yeah, like it was not a good play, and he played very odd. Like, he played it like it was a pub. He wasn't, watching the ammo resupply stations. He was just kind of roaming around, and he started to push through the fields, like not the spawn fields, but that field towards the river. Yeah, the middle fields. And he's starting to get like 3, 4, 5, and this is when Piats were still a thing. Like 4 fucking Piats just started shelling him, and meanwhile, like, I'm picking off and fragging like 3 or 4 people, and he blows up and booms and goes down, and he's like, well, what the fuck was that? Like, where was my help? Like, you're not killing anybody while I'm getting shot. I'm like, bro, look at the fucking kill feed. Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like, it was we got heated. That's like the one time that I've ever gotten into like a really, really bad argument in a scrim.
Yeah. I can imagine.
But essentially, like, he did not like me, he did not like Tito, he did not like any of the new players, and eventually it got to a point where there was a meeting between the entire team, and we decided to kick him out. And we were trying to reason with him during that team meeting, and he was just trying to turn everybody against each other. And I don't know what it was. It's not like any of us agreed with him, but it was just like, it was like a momentum killer. Like it was just so sad. Like it had to
Yeah.
happen to the team,
Yeah. No.
and it just screwed everything over. And after that, I don't like I said, I think Defy peaked too early, so other teams started to catch up, and we never really won after that point, and it was really difficult.
And that's strange to have someone who's like an old player in the team to come back and then to see you guys having success in the early stages and then to sort of like
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that
like
down
it
and
was
say
very
it's
weird.
not really valid or it's not the way we play or that's very strange.
Yeah, because you would think that like a veteran's like gonna be that leader for
Yeah,
you,
yeah, 100%.
and he was like just the antagonist the entire
Yeah,
time,
yeah. It's
fighting with the changes.
it's also
Yeah,
it's
so
sorry.
yeah,
It's also interesting you said like you guys had gun skill, but like kind of no brains. To be completely summarized, in a short sentence.
yeah.
Although like that was the start of the game, and obviously Too Easy's got incredible gun skill themselves. So,
Hmm.
were you guys? Are you playing down the tactics side to win? Like, how do you guys think you had better gun skill than Too Easy at that point, and that's how you won, or did you think you mixed it a little bit, or did they have
I think it
literally
was a
zero
I think it was a
tactics?
mix of things. I think it was a mix of things. If you take a look at the map design and the balancing of the old standard three maps, the
Okay.
Hamada and Eris and Rotterdam, Hamada is probably the most balanced out of all of them.
Yeah.
But I think we had really good gun skill, and we were just able to pick spots on the map that could amplify that gun skill, and
Yeah.
I think it made us really really good.
Okay.
Uh, it was almost like a different play style that nobody had seen before.
Okay.
If that makes
Okay.
sense. And I think people caught up to us and adapted to it, and then implemented their own strats to kind of counter it, and it just never like we never changed it. We
Okay.
never we like after things started going downhill, we like never made a conscious effort to figure it out, and like once we started making mistakes and not correcting it, it
Mm.
just it snowballed.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And it
Okay. That's interesting.
wasn't so good.
So
Yeah.
we've nicely covered you from your rise, I guess, and then the Defy stuff and how kind of that was like a sad ending to what was a very good team
Yeah.
because I remember playing against you guys, got absolutely shit on.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's
like you can attest, like we had good gun skill,
yeah.
and like the other part of it is just that the team just had a very apparent lack of leadership.
Okay.
When it came to a certain point, like Grunts was the leader throughout Battlefield One, and say what you want about the person, like he was a good leader. He would get on you and make sure
Mm.
that things were done and done in an orderly manner. And when he didn't come back, I think he actually got deployed in Afghanistan or
Oh wow.
whatever. Yeah, he was in the military, so he got deployed. And Enzo became, the general. Enzo's a fantastic player. He's my boy. But he's not a leader. He
Okay.
never was.
Yeah.
He was never like that. I'm gonna get everybody together and make sure this works kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing that really put the nail in the coffin for the team was we choked a final, and then we choked a semifinal.
Oh
We
yeah.
choked the BMF final against Too Easy.
Yeah.
We were smacking the fuck out of them, like backhanding across the face, smacking the shit out of them, to the point where they were like panicking, like they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And Enzo, and I'll never forget it, Enzo, in the middle of the rotating of that maps, because we agreed to 3 NA, 3 EU, in the middle of rotating maps, during the middle of the way, he said, guys, this is the last Battlefield scrim I'm going to play. Like, this is the last match.
During the
And I'm like,
game.
during the game. Like, and mentally that's like, wow, way to hoist the flag, Enzo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way, way
GG.
to lead to the finish, and we lost by a ticket. Like, we lost
Oh
Eris by a
wow.
ticket.
Wow.
And if we won that, we would have been the champions. And then we I think with the ESB semifinal for the preseason, we just got flat out beat by Antidote, which is Venom.
Yeah.
But those two chokes really like
Yeah.
fucked
That was
mentally with the team.
yeah.
It was like once that happened, nobody wanted to play anymore. Nobody gave any effort into fixing any more mistakes, and at that
Mm.
point I just said, you know what, let's just make this team inactive. There's no point. And I quietly told Calcifer, like, hey, I'm not going to come back like this. There was no point for me being here, because at that point, like, um you know talk about like the rise and everything, like I felt at that point like I was beginning to get into my prime, quote unquote, and like really get it. And it's like if I
Yeah.
stay here, like I'm gonna waste my time,
Yeah. Yeah.
which sucks because there's a lot of really good players there, and some really good friends, but it
Oh,
just
definitely. Yeah.
didn't work out that way. Yeah.
No. No. I feel
So
you. I feel you. So that's very interesting in the sense that you felt as if those two games, like it could have easily gone the other way. Is my point. You could
yeah,
have easily, if that guy didn't say during the game, maybe he said it afterwards, and there's a time and place
yeah,
to say you're not going to play anymore. Maybe
yeah,
that could have
and
swayed things.
and I actually became a leader in my time at Defy, like a lower level leader. So I was like in the leadership chats, and I like knew
Mm,
what was going on. Calcifer wasn't really a great leader either, in my opinion. Like, and I'm sorry to say it. Like,
okay.
we at one point we were playing 300, and 300 was like really starting to get good at Squad Conquest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they had a really good like game plan. They played together a lot. They had the best chemistry out of any team I've seen at that point.
Okay.
And they came in and they were smacking us around, and we were getting ready to scrim them because at that point the NA comp scene was dying.
Yeah.
And and now it's completely dead. Like there's 300 501st and maybe PG or TKO, whatever they're
Yeah.
called now, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. It was dying at that point. Like teams were leaving, and Defy and RZ and 300 were like the only teams left, and we were just scrimming each other pretty much all the time. And it got to a point where Calcifer's like, "Yeah, I don't want to play these guys." Like, there's like, as like 30 minutes before the game, it's like, "Yeah, let's not play these guys." I'm like, "You're talking to us about dodging this team."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Full
It was
on.
more like a dude. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, we're on. Let's play. Like, why are we scared of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are we scared of them? And like at that point, it was kind of just like, that was another thing that was just like, wow, this team is probably a lost cause at this point. So,
Right. Yeah. That's not what you want to hear from your from one of your leaders to sort of be like,
yeah,
yeah, I'd
yeah,
rather not play this team, even if there's no reason why we shouldn't play them. It's
yeah,
that's a bit disheartening, I guess, for everyone. So
yeah.
okay, so great. And then how was the transition from Defy to Venom then? How did that work out?
I was really nervous at first, just because I didn't recognize, and whether it's just because there's nobody playing this game anymore, or it was because I really deserve the opportunity, and like I'm like a good player, and I choose to think the latter of myself.
I agree with
you know.
that too. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, I quietly slip my 2 weeks notice under Calcifer's metaphorical door and say, hey, I'm not coming back. And as soon as I did that, and I kept it really quiet because I didn't want to bring that type of like publicity to the falling out of the team, because what I haven't talked about, and there's no really point to talk about, is the amount of chats and between specific groups of players that were just like, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, we need to change. Yada yada yada. Excuse me. So I got messages from 2Easy and 1UP and Venom and a couple of other teams that maybe I would have considered, like if none of those other teams were active, but really aren't that great. So I mean, I would be the best player on that team. And I think one of the best things about being on Venom is I don't have to be the best player on the team anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that sounds very very egotistical and cocky, and trust me, like there are definitely people on Defy that can hold their weight with anybody, including myself, but it's like there's something about not having to go out and drop a 20 bomb that's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Because it's good for you personally, and we talked about like the selfish things in relationship to how you should treat your team.
Yeah.
It's like I'm fine with seeing those numbers, but I would rather not have to drop 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like so. With that being said, I didn't really want to be a high-profile person on my team anymore. I wanted to really take the opportunity to be on the best team and learn from more players, because I'm all about learning at this point. Like I've always been about learning once I got my shit kicked in the first time.
Yeah.
So 2Easy was really attractive at first because I had friends on 2Easy and they were active, and Venom was inactive at the time.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I can go and play with 2Easy and be active for a little while, and I played a scrim with them, and it just didn't feel the chemistry wasn't there.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. It felt very almost like dictatorship, like in a sense that like if shit was going wrong, like shit was flying off the handle. Like there was no way to say, okay, guys, let's grab it back together, let's win this, let's keep it together. Like everybody was like, at each other's throats almost. And like I've watched scrims like from the Too Easy perspective, and it makes me feel confident that I made the right decision in that aspect. And it's
Yeah.
like nothing against Chain or anything, because I have a pretty solid relationship with Chain. Him and I are friends, and I do have like friends on Too Easy, but it's not an environment like I would like to play in, like that cutthroat, like it's either you do this or you're fucking up and I'm screaming at you kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying you don't want to hold your teammates accountable. Like if you're playing like shit
Of
and you're
course, yeah.
playing stupid, I'm gonna say, hey Jimmy, why the fuck are you doing that? Like you shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, you know. And it's weird that I find myself in a squad position, a squad leader position, when we're playing T16s, because I never thought of myself as that type of player. But here I am.
Yeah.
And we're going down a whole bunch of rabbit trails here. But essentially, it's like, okay, it didn't feel right. I'm gonna go play for Venom, and at that point, like, everything kind of just fell together to the point where like the chemistry aspect that was in Defy, which is something that I really loved, was there in Venom.
All right.
But Venom has so much better players.
Yeah.
Like players that understand how the game works, function wise.
Yeah.
They understand the fact that you don't need to 20 bomb to be the best player on the team. Like clutch kills are clutch kills. Like,
Yeah.
do your job.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that chemistry and that like ideology, and that something that you've been able to experience a little bit now that you're playing T16s with us. It's that like everybody has their job and they're going to do it. They're going to call you out if you're not doing a good job, but at the end of the day, everybody's there for each other and everybody's very close friends.
100%, yeah.
So.
When you've got 16 guys who understand like the functions of the game, like you said, like spawns and rotations and where you should be, what you should be doing, like within your own squad, like things like Nacho today, like bringing in like health and ammo packs, like tiny things. Which means that we can get the tank down. Is like, wow, like on another team, the same guy wouldn't be doing that, for example. It wouldn't make a difference. So no, I totally agree. I think this is a good time to segue now to like an up-to-date sort of, bring it back to right now. Because obviously, like we said, we recorded this before. At that point, we were, pre-RSP. It wasn't released yet. And
I think we've covered pretty much everything we talked about except the tier 1 sidetrack, which was...
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
That. Oh no! I'm not asking to talk about it again because okay. Because like that's a long story. But essentially, I when the long or the short version is once I start branching out and branching out rather and meeting players, I met players that were not friends of tier 1, and there was a conflict there. And basically, I was forced to choose between my team or the league, and I chose my team and my friends. And I made a video critiquing the league, and I fucking killed that bitch. I killed that. I killed it. Like, and it's not something I take pride in because it's not a conflict that I wanted, but it was.
That's what happened.
It was ugly.
Yeah.
It was ugly.
That's a good summary. It got into a spat, and you ended the league. So good job.
but it's not that vicious. Like I wasn't going into saying like, oh, like they're doing this to me. I'm gonna end this man's league.
Yeah.
No, I posted a video about like my critiques of the league. Like there's no rule set there. They're very anally gaped about ringers. Like they will have people go into your platoon and make sure that everybody on that platoon is who they say they are, and that they are playing for that team and that team alone. You get caught playing on another team, it's over. You're rule fucked. You're gone.
Yeah.
And more critiques about how the league is run. It's made up of of a council of players and of members of the league, and I'm talking like big decisions here. It's like a group of 4 or 5 instead of every team leader having a say. So you can obviously see where that could cause some issues, some clashing of interests. But I had my critiques, and the way that the league leader, who should not be named, responded to me, prompted a response video because he basically called me a flat out liar and a fuckface and all these other things, and basically came at me saying I was wrong and I was just upset that my team got rule fucked when it wasn't that. But so there was a second video that basically got the teams there to be like, well, geez, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And I don't think the league has really recovered from that, whether it's specifically from my video, and of course there were other things going on at that time, but I don't want to take sole credit. But the videos that I made definitely had an impact on it, and I'm not necessarily proud of it. I'm just saying that it happened. I'm never gonna go around boasting,
No.
Even though I did, it was like I fucking kill that bitch, but it's
No, I mean
Anyways,
the lesson to be learned is don't piss off Catalyst because he'll.
yeah, don't piss me off. I
Yeah,
will come for you.
yeah.
Just kidding.
Transitioning nicely onto the scrim today,
Yeah.
then, because talking about you being pissed off.
Oh my god.
So to
That
recap,
was stupid.
we just Venom just played one up, and we played Arras and Devastation. We played both sides of Arras and then one side of Devastation. Arras we won, which was good. It was a good game, and then Devastation first side. Talk me through it, Kat. What happened there? Please
Well,
explain.
okay, so I wasn't in contact with any of the leaders. That was Rubber. So Rubber was talking with Zach, and essentially we were playing ACE as the 3 flags that were game. Like you can go and capture those flags, and D and B were going to be the ones that you didn't capture. And apparently, Rubber said, okay, your excuse me, your guy go and capture B. Even though we won't touch it, our guy will go capture D. And it's like, okay, start at 41. We go at 41.
Yeah.
Zach didn't tell his team that that's what was happening.
No.
So Fusion starts going to capture D, and they go, well, what the fuck is going on? They go and kill Fusion on D and start capping it, and it just became this. It became this circle jerk of a comp match that was more like a team deathmatch than a fucking competitive scrim. I was tilted and playing like crap. Because what you don't understand is that I have more people in my ear because I'm a squad leader. So I have Jordy going, "What the fuck?" I have Rubber going, "Zach's a fucking moron," and I have Phantom asking me, "Catalyst, what are the flags that we're going to cap?" And meanwhile, I'm telling Fusion, "Dude, what are you doing?" Because I'm like, "Well, are we capturing B? Or are we leaving them unguarded?" It was just like I had so many people in my ear that I'm just like, "Fuck all of you."
Yeah.
You know.
Gets overwhelming.
And then I started getting really pissed. Like I think I said at one point, it's like for people that claim to be so fucking smart, how the hell did this happen? Something like that. Something like that.
No, it's very strange. It's very strange. I mean, we had a few issues with the game ending and people not realizing it, for example, and that not being like particularly obvious.
Can I say that? Listen. If the game is 700 tickets and it's the first of 400, if you kill people after the game is over to inflate your fucking KD, you're a little bitch. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, you are like, oh my god, that pisses me off so much. It's like, why? There's no reason to inflate your KD. Like, the game is lost. We're not gonna show screenshots of your boosted KD from a comp match.
Yeah.
When your stats aren't even gonna go through and be put on your permanent record.
Yeah. Yeah, because people on the
it's fucking retarded.
It is.
It's so stupid.
People on the losing team are doing that because, obviously, when you win it, you're supposed to cap every flag, and we move on to the next round. So, get people who win the game. I understand why they're killing the enemy because they have to clear them off the flags. Yeah. But yeah, if you're on the enemy team and you've lost and you're going negative and you're like, oh, I'm just going to try and 3-piece these guys just to get my KD up to, a nice amount. Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, what's the point? I'm wasting everyone's time, and it's just
douchebags.
Stupid.
Straight up.
So V1 rockets in the devastation round, absolute chaos. No one knew what was going on. Although I would like to say, I think we would have won it if it was a legit match, because I think.
Yeah, I think so too. In 1UP's defense, they didn't really have. They had a couple of ringers. They had like 4 or 5 ringers that I don't think were that great.
No.
But still, I think we would have won that.
Yeah.
Pretty convincingly, especially with how convincingly we won second round Eris.
Oh, big time! 160 odd tickets, something like that.
I think that's the biggest margin that I've seen in a T16 conquest so far. So it was a smack to the backside of the head for sure.
Yeah, so a nice win. Although it's sad it ended like that because I would have liked to have played properly. The second map as well.
Yeah, and I think T16 overall has proven to be a very, very fun game mode.
Yeah.
Like Eris, I find extremely fun. I think it's
a
pretty well balanced map, and it's a matter of finding certain things that we need to ban and like how to play other maps. Because right now I think two maps are very playable. I think Narvik's pretty playable. I think Eris is pretty playable. I don't know about Devastation. I don't know how you felt about it. Maybe if things weren't a clusterfuck like it was during that scrim, we could get a better opinion on it. But I wasn't too big of a fan of it.
Yeah, I would have liked it if it was the 3 flags in the middle of the map, and I think that would have worked better because the issue we had was people coming from like the B and D flags, wasn't it? Like the flags which were banned, and people are just flanking to our home flag, the one which is allowed, which is like obviously it's like a grey area, isn't it? It's like, okay, so they're not on the flag.
So you're talking like let's do BCD instead of ACE.
Or
Okay.
or at least
Yeah,
try
maybe.
Or at least try it. Like I'm not saying 100% that would work. I'm just saying like it clearly didn't work the way we were doing it
Yeah.
because it was like they're not on the flag on the outside, so technically they're not doing anything wrong, but also they're using
Right.
an area which no one is there, so like the flank is kind of a bullshit flank.
Yeah.
Um,
We
so
need to
yeah,
play it a couple more times, but I
yeah.
wasn't really impressed at first.
No. I like the gameplay in the church a lot, but then as soon as you leave the
Yeah.
church, it's kind of a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake, like
I think it's good because we also have a really for somebody that has only played with each other for like once beforehand, like you, Ash, and myself and Nacho have
good chemistry.
like really good chemistry.
Yeah,
Which is like something that's very rare to find.
yeah,
And like the thing that I like, and here comes the dictator catalyst right here. It's like you fucking listen to me. Like I
100%.
can't tell you like how many times in Defy when I was like a squad leader, I was trying to get people to understand and like listen to what to do.
Okay.
Like and they just didn't fucking listen. Like they wanted to frag out and do their own thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like it's so stupid.
No, I feel you.
And
Yeah.
oh well, and then like sorry, I know we keep going back to it, but just like one more train of thought. It's like in the middle of the downfall of Defy, they brought in a bunch of Hispanic players,
Okay.
which not is nothing to do with race. It's the fact that they have a different language than a lot of the team because you gotta think about it. Defy is North American primarily,
Yeah.
so we're all speaking English, and so there was definitely a language barrier, and I didn't think personally the players that they brought in were very good. I think they used Cronus,
Okay.
the ones that they did because Cronus is very popular in South America and
Yeah.
the Middle East and those two regions specifically. So I didn't think they were very good. The language barrier at times kept the team from clicking very well together. I mean, say what you want about Venom, and that's the funny thing coming from an American on a completely European team. it's that everybody's for the most part speaking English and everybody's communicating with one another.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know what it is about specifically Latin American Spanish that the English is just not very good or they don't learn it. But
Okay.
that was a big issue. But
Yeah.
going back to what we were talking about, the chemistry. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
it's good chemistry.
yeah,
It's good.
like you said, we haven't really played. Like we've played a few. What I'm not sure. Like 3, 4, 4.
Like two to three.
Have we?
Something
Okay.
like that. Not many at all.
Not many, but it seems to work quite well. Like we're kind of the sort of the flexing squad, which has to do the dirty shit most of the time. Which which I'm happy to do.
Which
like,
translates into let's all bum rush this tank and
Yeah.
hope we don't die.
yeah, push the tank. Literally just.
Poor Nacho, dude. Poor
Oh, dude.
Nacho. Like
Absolute beast.
he's a tank magnet. Like
Yeah.
I feel so bad for the guy.
Yeah.
It's like here I am giving orders like, okay, let's go push this tank. I know inside he's thinking, fuck you, Catalyst.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, for fuck's
why are you
sake.
making me do this,
Yeah.
man?
Don't know. I mean, 4 or 5 tanks dead. Like
Yeah.
that's that's a job well done as far as I'm concerned. So when you've got
But it's an important role because you get that tank down and that opens up the map for our tanks and our planes to basically do whatever the fuck they want.
100%,
So
yeah.
it's really important.
No, that's perfect.
But,
So yeah, we've talked about the T60 in general. Obviously, the rule set's still being sort of figured out by everyone as we play these games, and I think a lot was learned today about making sure that information is relayed between the
Yes.
organisers and their teammates is obviously very important.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to say that because
Yeah.
that's obviously if you've ever organised a scrim before, that is the key part of the thing. It's just keep everyone up to date with the conversation you're having.
yeah.
And all the rules and everything.
Well, and it's not like it's all our fault because Dice the community games are
yeah.
very very shallow and
Yeah.
it's like a lot of the things that could be prevented like not spawning on certain flags like a vehicle respawn timer,
Yeah.
weapon bans, like a lot of that's not in the game, so they're prone to some form of like rule break even if it's
Yeah.
accidental.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but when it comes to like using AA tanks and you're not allowed to use that.
yeah.
cough cough AON AO1.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
completely.
cough.
Yeah, because I bet during like the legit games today where everyone seems to use the right rules, I bet like there's a few rule breaks without people even realizing it.
Yeah, there's like
guarantee you.
I actually had a Piat on my class today,
Ooh.
and I pulled it out and I said, "This isn't a Panzerfaust," and I stuck it back in my pants. And that's when you guys were pushing the tank, and I'm like, "Yeah, guys, go get it.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, go get it. I wish I could help,
yeah.
but I can't.
That'd be so funny. That was a good decision.
So
Good
I mean
decision.
that was really funny.
So, okay, so we're nicely up to date and everything, I guess. And so there's obviously the ESB 5v5 thing going on recently, which is sort of a topical thing. in the community, because obviously, BWL T8 Season 1 has begun, first week of that, and then we go on a 2-week break, for example. Other leagues like BCL haven't started yet. BMF did a league very early on without RSP, and now it's kind of over already. So like they have to kind of start a new one if they want to be relevant, I guess. So at the moment, it's kind of like the big things are these, ESB 5v5 cups on Sundays, or scrims basically, which is kind of weird, because most people generally have the thing of it's just a scrim, it's for practice, but also I guess in Battlefield Competitive it is kind of, you have to base something off it, because if that's the only game happening against these teams, in what other league at the moment are Venom and One Up going to play each other? Like they're not,
they're not
in a league. So we have to sort of take this as something that shows the current skill level of these teams, and yeah, it's a grey area, isn't it? Because you don't know how seriously to take it, or if it's worthless, or if it's worth a load, or not.
I mean, it's hard to say, because we talked, like, the first time we recorded this, we talked a lot about teams that were coming back, and we're like, okay, well, this team's going to come back, or this team's going to come back, and CS has come back. Like, they've kind of fulfilled that word.
Yeah.
But nobody, like, everybody else is always the first to hop on the bandwagon and say, yeah, we're going to come back, and then they come back and they're like, yeah, this game's still not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's the same. It's still the same 4 or 5 teams, and like it's so sad. Like it's heartbreaking, dude. Like this isn't even a fraction of what it used to be like. These teams, like this would have been legitimately a small fraction of the teams that were playing.
Yeah. No,
and
exactly.
And it makes me sad, because I feel like, I don't know what time you started really playing competitively, but it's like we missed the window. We missed it badly.
Yeah. The BF4, BF1 sort of window of like.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So,
I mean, like you see teams like, going back to the 5v5 thing for a sec, like Existence, for example. The German team, with guys like Dory and those kind of guys who thought they were going to basically come back and just roll everyone, and just didn't. I think they lost first round against Volcane, for example, and it's like, big.
I didn't know that. I haven't been paying attention. 5v5's like, I did a lot of 5v5, and it like was very crucial to my development as a player. Like not playing like a moron all the time, because you can't play like that in a 5v5. But like 5v5 is just not my jam. Like I don't follow it as much. I don't like playing it. About 8 is about as the minimum of people that I'll. So I didn't follow the CSGO Cup. I didn't know that they lost to Volcane.
Yeah.
Like,
so like, if you look at the roster, I just don't know how they lost. Like genuinely, because like they're individually they're just better. But it's like you said, when you come back to this game and you sort of realize it's still got its flaws, and it's still I think it's got a very high skill ceiling. I think that's one of the best bits about this game, is that if you play it enough, you will know so much more than your average player. Like you'll know all these dodgy spots that you can do on B flag of every round, and like I think
you can definitely see it in like the Arab players that played pickups nonstop, like Magic and Prince. They know the spots, and they'll peek around with their little 3x and MNKs and just dink you from 50 maps away. And it's like, where the hell am I getting shot from? And it's like, on the one hand it's like, wow, like you have no recoil, but on the other hand it's like, wow, that's a, like, congrats to you, like that's a genius spot, and I would have never thought to peek there. So it's a give and a take.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, if they play so much, they know the spots. Then you have to kind of give credit for that aspect of their play. Like to find
dedication. Like if you try, like I don't know about you, but I only play this game like 4 to 5 hours a week, and like to some people, like, wow, that's a lot. Yeah, like obviously I'm not a gamer dad that's getting on one hour at a time on a Saturday with Coors Light or whatever. But it's like I'll stream for like 3 to 4 hours during the week, playing pubs by myself. So it's not like I'm actively training myself, and that feels very weird to say, because it's like, well, how much can you train in this game? But there's obviously like some things you can do. Like when you're streaming, you're not thinking about practicing your mechanics and your snap aim and like your positioning. You're focused on entertaining people. And like I feel like this is a good, because we didn't really talk about a lot about YouTube last time, so maybe we can go into that a little bit. Like it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different being a content creator on this game, especially like with how much extra you have to do, but also it divides your priorities a little bit, because like obviously, like I said, when I'm streaming for 4 hours, I'm focused on entertaining the people that are coming to watch me play. I'm not thinking about practicing at all. So I'll play for 4 to 5 hours, and then maybe another 1 hour of that is me getting gameplay for a video, and that's probably the closest I'll ever get to practice, apart from the hour that I'll play warming up for a scrim.
Yeah.
If I'm on the roster. So it's like I'm playing 5 to 7 hours a week, but 4 or 5 of that is just like nonsensical bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's
content
not like
stuff.
it's not like the players that have been grinding Battlefield pickups who have been really dedicated to this game that know so much more than I do.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely shows. Like some people might want to say, oh, you don't like this game's easy. And on that one hand, like it's definitely gotten easier with all the fucking time to kill changes and the snap aim assist and all that bullshit that's in the game now that pisses me the fuck off.
Yeah.
But if you put in practice, like the skill ceiling is high, like it's there.
Yeah.
And I think it's evident. I think it's evident that it is there.
No, I agree. And I think you see that with the ESP tournaments, like from playing it last week. Like it was, you could definitely tell the difference between a team, which I assume Volcane would have seen that against Existence, for example, where it's like, you guys have got really good aim, but if we hold this angle and we hold this like spot which you wouldn't know of, then we can just kill you. And it's like as simple as that. It's not like in BF1. I felt like you could like just kind of zerg and frag a bit more, and like I don't know. I think it's kind of limited to the extent to which you can do that on BF5. So it's
right.
I think that's one of the. If I am trying to find positives, I think that's one of the things is positioning is more important than ever before. I mean, less important after the patch, like you said, but like
the example that I think of, like I remember when I don't know if you could visualize this, but the head glitch on Hamada, the B Hamada health crate, that head glitch where you can overwatch, like look at Skybridge.
Yes.
I remember getting killed off of that for the first time, and thank God it wasn't in a tournament setting. But I'm like, you bastard! Like that is genius. Like that is dirty.
Yeah.
You are dirty, to quote Brett FX. You're dirty. It's like, but
it's a nasty head glitch.
The difference between learning that in a scrim and then learning that the hard way during an actual tournament match is like, wow, if it's a 5v5, you just lost your rotation, buddy. Like, so sad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like, so when teams come back and expect to dominate like that, and they that something like that happens to them, like you can see why Volcane was able to upset EXC, I think it is.
Yeah.
Like that.
100%. It's like you said, when you've got 5v5 and you get killed like the one guy going for a flank, it's like, oh, if you knew that spot, you wouldn't have got killed, or if you knew someone else was going to look at you.
At least you would have been able to put up a fight. And I'm not talking like they're going to run over Skybridge thinking, wow, this is a great rotation, and then
and there's so many like little things as well, like with this game where it's like, get on the flag before it's like ticking to the other color, for example, of the enemy team, just so you can keep the tickets going. Like do players even know that sometimes, like that they could keep their team getting points if they just stood on the flag and capped it when it's
something that I don't know if any other players notice, but I've come to notice, is that if you're in a 1v1 in a gunfight and you start seeing the flag like start to go in your favor, and it's not like a hiccup, like it's not like, okay, clear, you can generally tell like, okay, somebody else got on the flag and now it's a 2v1. If you're in a 1v1 and the flag starts slowly creeping towards their side of things, it just means that they're closer to the center of the flagpole, because the closer you are to the center of the flagpole, the faster the flag captures.
Wow.
So that basically gives away their position right there. Did you even know that?
No, I didn't.
I just blew your goddamn mind.
I am blown away.
The master of the TA, Jimmy, just learned something new.
What the fuck?
How about that?
Dude.
How about that?
This is crazy. There's so many... this is what frustrates me.
Okay, now we can edit that out so nobody else knows.
Yeah, it's a secret now. Dude,
it's a secret now.
That's insane. Like, there's so many things which are good about this game.
Yeah, and it's like you can pick up so many things. Like, as much as you want to think that you know everything about a game mode or a game, there is always something that you can learn. Always something you can learn.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I still do YouTube, because honestly, YouTube has been a side thing for me for a long time. And of course, I have amazing fans and I love every single one of them. And it's really cool that I've been able to get a couple thousand fans in the 2 years that I've been doing it. But the reason that I do it is because I understand, like, wow, I was in a position like this once too. Like, I want to be able to teach people. I want people to see where I am now, see what I'm doing, and then be able to do that themselves. And like that's the reason why I still make content like that.
No, that's great.
Among other reasons. So like, there's always something that you can learn, and the people that choose to watch I value that they trust my opinion, and obviously it helps that you can put like in bold letters and clickbait titles like I'm on the best Battlefield team, I'm a top player in my region on my on this console or whatever, as much as you can clickbait it. But like people, like I have generally seen people say, hey, you have helped me get so much better, and that's why
nice.
I do it.
That's really good.
That's why I do it, and that makes my heart warm, because it basically puts everything, apart from all the videos that I make ranting about how shit this game is, like the settings guide or specific like movement based things or positioning guides, and people coming back to me on my streams and saying, hey dude, like this really fucking helped me, like thank you so much. Like that's what you do it for.
No, that's really good.
Which is
that's great.
Awesome.
Me and Ash have this running joke where like he learns something new every single round he plays. Like today, for example, he didn't know like there's a tank
straight
under the
up,
station.
Ash he's on another level.
He's a beast.
Like
yeah.
he's got the sauce. Like to quote what Contro told me, like he's got the sauce. He's been playing for as little like time as he, like I've been playing for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he can absolutely beam me in some gunfights, and he does it without a 3x or an MNK too. Like,
yeah, he's a great guy.
Now, granted, he's also in region if we're doing comparisons here.
Yeah.
But he's talented. Like
definitely,
he's got it. He's got it.
So I'm always going to take the credit for recruiting him. That's my.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, but like, I got him. But no, he's a great guy, and yeah, I'm sure he's going to learn something new tomorrow. Like oh, I didn't know you could fucking crouch to reduce recoil.
Well, I mean, if he sees this, he's gonna know that if you're in a 1v1 on a flag and it starts ticking, he's closer to the center of the flag. There you go.
We're gonna win the next tournament tomorrow, just because of that info.
No.
Dude, if I can use that tomorrow on the ESB tournament, and Bojo can 2-peat, then. Dude.
Yeah, you might want to strategically upload this.
Yeah, just sort of muffle the audio as like we.
Yeah.
I'll strategically upload it on the Monday.
Oh yeah, sorry, technical difficulties.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry.
Some technical difficulties again.
Apologies. Again. Yeah, once again, the whole thing is just off because we've just spilled the beans.
Put like a fuzzy like old 1960s like muffled camera just.
Just completely overshadow the audio.
Yeah, just straight up.
That'd be great. Okay, amazing. So we're about done now. So thank you very much for joining. Hope you've enjoyed yourself, and we've definitely.
Yeah, I wish. I mean, nothing's going to be as good as the original, but I think we covered pretty much everything. I don't know if you have any lingering questions that you're just
dying to ask,
really hungering to ask.
No, I mean, so. Yeah. Going forward then, because the one thing that you mentioned earlier, which I was going to bring up again, was how you said you thought Venom was going to be the last team you play for. Like just very quickly, like how long do you envision yourself like playing this game or staying on Venom or staying active basically?
As long as I feel the need to, and I feel the same way about YouTube that I do about Venom. It's like I graduated from college in May, and I'm doing an internship right now with my work, and I'm a sports journalist in real life, so my field is very competitive, and I could have to pack up and go somewhere very, very random to cover certain athletics. So my job or my life outside of YouTube and outside of video games could change drastically, so I don't know how long I have, and that's the way that I treat playing video games competitively like this, and that's how I treat YouTube the way that I do. It's why I know that YouTube's a fickle medium, and it's not going to last forever. So I don't invest $300 capture cards and build my own PC and have the top tier monitor. I'm a minimalist. I used Share Factory for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like Share Factory, and that software that software can lick my asshole. Like it's bad. It's bad. So when it comes to YouTube, and especially when it comes to playing with Venom, I don't really want to be anywhere else, because I feel like at the end of the day, like after potentially joining 1UP and experimenting playing with 2EZ, like I feel like Venom is the place for me.
Okay. In
terms of the chemistry that I have there, and when my time comes to say, okay, I'm gonna hang it up and I don't have interest in playing anymore, or maybe this game, which at this point I don't want to tempt fate and say, can this game get any worse? But if this game gets any worse and DICE literally pushes this game off a fucking cliff and everything dies, I'll be satisfied saying I played for the best team in Battlefield.
Yeah.
and just call it a quit. Just call it quits and call it a day.
That's great. That's a lovely way to end it. So thank you again for joining. Hope you've enjoyed yourself. Thank you everyone for watching. Cat's been amazing. So we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining, bro.